I really wasn't in it for the money, and I think a couple of the guys weren't in it for the money. Some of the guys that were a little bit older, Don and excuse me, Bunk, and some of them, uh, they rightly wanted what was coming to them, and they deserved it, and I deserved it. It's just, I didn't even care anything about that. I was just, I was, more of a, uh, you know, I was just in it for the music, really, and whatever else went along with it. The stage, the theater, all that kind of stuff. I didn't. I wanted to make money, but that wasn't my primary concern. And I bet if you polled a lot of guys, probably even today, you'd probably get the same thing. That's why musicians as a whole, they're really into what they're doing, are very easy to take advantage of. And I suppose that's what it's supposed to be. I couldn't say, but I remember from then on, I was looking a little bit more towards the money. Not that I ever made any money in music. I didn't, never did cash in, but did some pretty interesting stuff along the way. I was proud to be a part of that, and I was impressed. Because I wasn't aware of that. I was aware of it a little bit. I knew we were. Obviously, we're making pretty good money for gigs, so I was aware that the influence was there. But I tell you what impressed me is a lot of times we'd play. I think we were the first so-called rock or jazz rock band to ever play Newport Jazz Festival, for example, in 1967. And I met a lot of these jazz legends that I just thought, wow, and they're thinking the same thing about me. And they're saying, man, you guys are too much, And I said, you think so? Wow, Jerry Mulligan, Roland Kirk. Come on, these guys, I look up to them like they were, princes. And so, I got the idea, and it was impressive. And when some of the guys, I remember Gary Burton, we played a few gigs with him, and we played a lot of jazz festivals towards the last year or so of the band. And I told, can't think of his name, one of the guys who played guitar with Gary Burton, I told him one night that we were breaking up, and he just couldn't believe it. He almost got sick. He said, I can't, he said, what are you doing? And I said, it's not me, man. It's just talk to him. I don't know what's going on. But so a lot of guys were watching what we were doing. And it was always surprising also to me to see, like I remember we played one festival, it was a jazz festival, and I think we were heading the bill, or maybe I think there was a guy named Hugh Masekela who was a real popular at the time, and maybe he was heading the bill. And there was all these other bands, these legendary guys, Duke Ellington, all these guys that and they're all below us. And I thought, Jesus, this is really something, and to be sitting around a dressing room with Duke Ellington and to be able to talk to him. And like I was just another, guy, and it was, I thought, gee, we must be doing something here, in fact, I remember, I'd met him, well, I didn't meet him, but we played a series of gigs with Ellington when I was with the Cincinnati Symphony. And so I got to see them then, and I was so impressed with the band and the great drummer, Sam Woodyard, these great players. And this guy was a legend.
Sorry, can we just have that one?
Yeah. And this guy's like Sam Woodyard, and so, I can't remember some of the sidemen, but great musicians. And and here these guys are legends. So now, flash forward a year or two, and here I am sitting in a dressing room with them somewhere in the southeast United States, and we're standing and we're talking, and all of a sudden this guy walks in a sharkskin suit, black guy, and he stands off to the side, and the Duke looks over and he says, hey, Art, excuse me when I talk to this guy. I said, yeah, and so he walks over, but I can hear him talking, see? And he says, hey, I forget what the guy's name is, say it's Chuck. He says, Duke says, hey, Chuck, he says, he's always the manager. He says, can you give me $50 till Monday? And I said, what did he say? could you give me $50 till Monday? Duke Ellington? You know, and I thought, wow, you know, this, and that's the first time I realized really what was going on in the music business and what it meant to be popular or not to be popular or all that kind of stuff. So that was a real eye-opener for me. So yeah, we were doing some influential stuff, I guess you could say that.